Welcome to A Court of Transformation and Awakening. I'm Lorrie Gray.
And I'm Amanda Grace Harrison.
And in today's episode, we are discussing Chapter 37 of A Court of Thorns and Roses.
Oh, Chapter 37. There is not in a good place.
She's not in a good place. And this is not the surviving versus thriving conversations we've had. This is just dying.
Yeah, this is
literal.
Just dying. Yeah,
literal dying.
She's not even in survival mode. She's in dying mode, which is
yeah. So I mean, we ended the last one. She could barely walk back to her cell, and so we start out where no one came. Like last time Lucian came, but this time she didn't. Oh my gosh! And she's just in so much pain, and she's panicking because it's not stopping bleeding. She knows what that happens. Oh, she can't eat. Things are really bad.
She's panicking.
Really, really bad. Okay, so in the midst of this, where she's aware how bad things are, Rhysand shows up. And he presents her with a option, a trade. Time with him in the night court every month in exchange for healing her.
There's this one good moment she asks here. Right. She's saying at what cost, and she's finding out about this deal that she might make with him. And then she said, I focused on the feeling of my good hand on my knee. Focused on the dry mud beneath my fingernails. I love that. That's such a good fairy moment. Like, focus on something tangible. Focus on something that keeps you here in the she's very in the present moment because of her pain, but she's focusing on something instead of death, dying, panic. What does he want from me?
Yeah.
It's like, I'm focusing on the dirt under my fingernails is better than...
It's true. The funny thing is, I think I marked that during one of the read-throughs, and then I forgot about it for this one. But yeah, because that's such a... that's work that I do for myself and so many of my clients when you're in that place where you start to go to panic, like finding a way to ground yourself in your body is huge. But it's not always like, I think sometimes people think it's always this really evolved, like sitting down and doing meditation. I'm like, no, it can literally be as much as like, that's my knee. There's a knee right there. Yeah. That's a thing.
There's the seam on my pants. I feel the seam on my pants.
Here's
something to ground you.
Yeah. Here's this thing, and I have, for anybody out there that deal, it's really dealt with like trauma or physical pain. Just a tip and a fun thing that I'd learned was, so for people who have chronic pain or chronic illness or something like that, these teachings about, okay, you need to be in your body and you need to be present with your body is actually not always healthy, because a lot of people who deal with chronic health issues, the issue is they don't feel safe in their body.
Right.
So when somebody says like, okay, the way that you need to heal your nervous system or your trauma is to be present in your body, and being present in your body then is triggering, it's a catch-22. And I think a lot of people get to that place of throw up my hands like, okay, there's nothing I can do here. This is super hopeless. But one of the things that I learned, this was in Widening the Window by Dr. Elizabeth Standley, which is a really great book, by the way. It's very technical, but really good. But she talks about starting with, and she even talks about like how breath work is not good for everybody. If you have trauma related to breathing, breath work can actually be triggering. And so what she suggests is focusing on the place where your body meets your physical environment. She's like, don't be in your body if that's scary. Like, don't be in your breath if that's scary. She's like, but find the place where your body meets your environment and see if you can draw your attention to that space. And it does the same sort of activity of getting people into the present, but it doesn't require them actually connecting with their body if that makes them feel unsafe. So in this situation for us, like, I wouldn't be focusing on my legs because maybe my legs hurt, but I could focus on the place where my leg meets my chair and just that place. But it does the same thing in the brain, but doesn't require people to engage in work that's could be potentially triggering for them.
It's a good trick,
isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I like that.
So if anybody out there, that's totally random, but that's kind of what this podcast is. If you're like, hey, this whole like breath work, be present in your body thing doesn't work for me, little tip, like you can still pull a fairy here, but it's just like, where does your body meet your environment, and can you tune into that to get more present? But good work, Feyre. anchoring yourself in the present so you can think clearly. That was a really good moment. Okay. There's so much here. Again, I feel like there's not like there's a lot here. We could go really deep into it. But I think the biggest thing is he confirms here for her that what she suspected, which is that she is in fact dying. And that's important because that ties into why she makes the decision that she does. And initially she's pretty strong, very, go to hell, leave me alone. Absolutely not. This is not going to happen. Okay. And then the other thing is, initially she was wanting to wait for Lucian. She's like, she knows that it's a wiser choice, but she doesn't know if he's going to come or if he's going to come too late. And she draws back to this time of he hesitated with the cereal, and she doesn't even know if he really understands the gravity of the situation. Does he really understand how it is for humans? It's not like he's ever really tried. And she's like, what if he comes an hour too late, and I'm gone? Okay. Do you have anything before I go into this next part? So
what do I have up here?
So I'm going to go.
She's just going same spot you're going. Go ahead.
Okay. Well, you can read it. So this part, though, I'm like, okay, we have to stop and talk about this because so she asks him to wait, but her reason, okay, for Tamlin, I would sell my soul. I would give up everything I had for him to be free. Can we just make some icky sounds? Okay.
I would sell my freaking soul.
Sell my soul.
But we have to remember, this is her first love. Isaac Hill, she was never in love with. I remember my first love. I might have said I would sell my soul for him. That's, she's 19. I could totally picture myself being this desperate. I will sell my soul for you. That's a bit far.
Well, and this is one of those places where it makes for good writing. It makes for compelling reading. Now, the thing is, like, she's just immortal here. So I'm reading another series where there is sort of this desperate kind of love, but it's actually explained and given context where it makes sense based on, again, like differing species kind of work, where it's like, okay, so that's a little over the top, but there's an explanation for it. Here, she's just a human making this decision. And while it makes for good writing, I'm like, Feyre, darling, this is not healthy. This is not how healthy relationships work.
But she's 19. Who the heck is capable of a healthy relationship? It takes a really special person to be capable of healthy relationships at 19. So.
Well, yes. And perhaps not healthy relationships to a whole, but like, yeah, let's literally not like sell our soul. but
for any reason ever, really, but
right.
Definitely not just.
And I mean, like, and I think that's the thing. Like, this is, I think, in a place where there's a misunderstanding between like what unconditional love means. Like, unconditional love is not unconditional tolerance.
Yeah.
Like, any healthy love has to exist within boundaries, and when we don't have any, it's not going to be healthy anymore. But yeah, she's kind of like, yeah, I don't need any of those. Like, it's fine, just whatever. Oh my gosh. So this one kind of like turned my stomach, where I'm like, good writing. I get that it's a fantasy world, but I know just that leads to rough things. Which, by the way, on that point, this is a thing that I actually tell my clients a fair bit. I mean, okay, so humans in general, I think we can get pretty addicted to drama.
Mm-hmm. For sure.
We can for sure get addicted to drama. And a lot of the things that I present to people, it makes sense, but it's almost like, this is kind of boring. And I'm like, yeah, here's the thing, friends. Like, emotional maturity doesn't make for good television.
Yeah.
It really doesn't. Like, conversations, if you have even just one emotionally mature person, those kinds of conversations, they work pretty well. And they're pretty straightforward. And there's nothing dramatic. I'm like, it's not going to make for good television at all in any way, shape, or form. And yet it's still good. And that's one of those places we get addicted to those chemicals in our body. And I'll see people be doing really well, and they don't like it because their brain interprets that as boring, and then they go light something on fire so they can engage in the drama again.
I need drama. Yes.
Anyway, so I get it that this makes compelling writing, and we need it perhaps for this book, but definitely
Don't take lessons from Faye right
yeah,
here.
so it's
don't
my,
be like, oh, I don't love enough. I should be willing to give up everything. And sell my soul for my person.
Nope. And that's one of those things where it's like, yeah, we want to learn from our character, but I'm like, this is not a moment where we're like, yes, let's mimic that.
She is dying. We can give her that. Maybe if she weren't dying and she was a little coherent, maybe she wouldn't have gone that far.
That's a good point. That would make me feel better that
she's on the verge of death. So.
Right. That this is just clouding her judgment. Okay, we're gonna go with that because that does make me feel better. I do that all the time, by the way. Whenever there's human behavior that I can't explain, I just make something up.
Maybe it's this.
I usually go with mental health issues, and then I just feel compassion because I'm like, why would a person do that? They probably have mental health issues. And I don't mean that in a negative way. I'm just like, oh yeah, because that makes it hard to see reasonably or rationally, or they're sleep deprived or they're whatever. But whatever I have to do to get to a place where I can look at my fellow humans with compassion.
Yeah. And she's definitely sleep deprived here because she's been in excruciating
and she's got a fever. She's literally dying. Okay, so we can make some allowances here for this thing. But boundaries, my friends, boundaries are helpful. Okay. So 2 weeks. And instead, so she bargains here with them.
I love that even on the verge of death and all of this, she's still like 5 days. She's still bargaining with him. I just love that. She's so Pharaoh. Like right until the
5
end.
days, 10
Just
days.
like
this reminds me of have you seen The Greatest Showman?
Yes.
Okay, I love The Greatest Showman. I love the music. I love the music from that one. But the bar scene where they're negotiating, 15, I do 8, maybe 9. Like, and they go back and forth, 10. But that scene, like if you've watched it, like I love watching the barkeep who's like a secondary character, who's not the main one, but like watching what he does, I'm like, that whole scene and the choreography was just super, super, super fun.
I know what I'm watching tonight. Right. I don't remember the barkeep, but that sounds fun.
And so we settle on a week. Okay. And he does. There's a quick, he fixes her arm, fever's gone, everything's clear. Also, bonus, feels like she just had a bath, cleans her up. But then lifts her arm and it's covered in a tattoo.
Yay! What the heck did you just do?
What have you done to me? It's custom in my court for bargains to be permanently marked upon the flesh. I love, she's like, make it go away.
No.
Make it go away. Okay, insightful Rhysand moment here. So she's like, well, you didn't tell me this would happen. This needs to go away. But he says, unless this lack of gratitude and appreciation is because you fear a certain High Lord's reaction. Gosh, and he is just right on the nose with that one. Because that's what she goes to.
She can already see Tamlin's face going pale, his lips becoming thin as the claws gets. She can hear the growl. He'll admit when he asks me, what were you thinking?
Right.
Yep. That's exactly why she's scared. She doesn't care if she was never going to see Tamlin again and she's walking on, she wouldn't care if she had this tattoo on her arm for the rest of her life.
Right. Because I mean, like
just Tamlin.
Like a tattoo versus like dying.
Yeah.
Like it's fine. Yeah, but it's his reaction, and and she knows it. I definitely marked that one where. Yeah, I'm like, we had a red flag moment here already with, I would do anything, but this is like a red flag moment for me as well. Any place where it's I need to walk on eggshells. I need to manage what I do because I'm afraid of how this person's going to react.
I can't relate to that kind of thinking. I'm going to throw. I can't even say that. I can't even say that lie honestly, without wanting to throw up. I feel that so hard, Vera. I feel it.
Right.
I so relate.
Oh. Yeah, that's I think that there's probably a lot of people that do. And again, and this is an interesting one because this is we've come to really see Tamlin as a good guy. He's not evil, he's not a villain, but within their relationship we're seeing things that are not this is not healthy.
He's got a wee bit of a violent temper. Just a wee bit. Just
Right.
shatters furniture and makes the entire foundations of the house shake when he gets upset. So
Yeah.
she's reason to
Which would
think
be-
he might have a reaction.
And it's not like any of that's, we knew that from the beginning. Like Lucian said, like way back in the day, like he gets in moods, like she's, eyes wide open, like she kind of knows who he is. But yet when it leads to fear and having to adjust our behavior, it's one of those moments where it's not a way to live, I guess is what I'll say.
Yeah.
And I think there's a place for our listeners and readers who are really wanting to go deeper in their own life to stop and ask themselves some hard questions here. Like, what are those relationships? And it's not always, unfortunately, I know for some people it is their spouse or their significant other. And that's a really painful truth. But then there are also people where it's bosses, it's coworkers, it's friends, where it's like when you feel like you have to like watch yourself around them. And I think that's good information, and like really to ask ourselves if that's what we want and that's how we want to live. And again, I'm in the place more and more where I'm like, yeah, I'm good. Like, I don't think I need that in my life anymore. And before, where the idea of a relationship ending, which we talked before about, sometimes relationships are just complete. Yeah, I'm like, I think any relationship where I have to do that at this point in my life, I'm okay with those just being complete. Like, I don't have the energy to give to needing to walk around eggshells with somebody to manage their reactions. And like, either it's one of those places where I'm like, either I'm just going to show up as myself and you react however you want to and it's yours, or I'm just not going to be around you. And I wasn't willing to make that decision for most of my life, but these days I am.
Yeah, it's a ballsy decision. Takes a bit.
Now,
Most people are willing to do that.
am I fully living that out yet? No. Am I working on it? Yes. Let's be honest here. Because there's always that internal decision and then the walking it out, right? And I still, again, one of my biggest trauma responses is like fawn response. So like when I actually get into the moment, I still have some moments when I freeze. Like, and I have to be really intentional about this. But it's easier to examine it when I'm not in the moment and make decisions in advance. That's good stuff. But okay, so this is a moment that I really wanted to point out for us to all have a minute to think deeper about. Okay, but then the way that this ends, poor girl, she understands that this really was a trap, that this wasn't to save her, but this was to hurt Tamlin. Like, and we saw all the way back whenever we first had the interaction between Rhysand and Tamlin at the manor. She doesn't know the history, but she knows there is.
She knows they have
history, and that she's a pawn in this game,
and that he just wants to hurt Tamlin, and now he gets to use her for that.
Yeah, poor girl, but she's not dead. Good thing, otherwise our story would have ended really soon.
The end. He had literally one sex scene in the entire history of Feyre. There we go.
Oh my word. Okay, so end chapter 37.
37.
Oh, okay. Things are just going to keep getting exciting. All right, so can't wait to come back for our next chapter.
Yay, she's alive.
She's alive.
All right, guys, we made it through 37. Thanks for watching. Hope you guys are having a great day out there wherever you are. And if you haven't already joined our community, head on over to ACOTAR, that's ACOTAA.circle.so, where you can watch the podcast, jump into the conversations, and if you're feeling up for getting a little more vulnerable, jump into one of our shared transformational adventures. We'll see you there.
Bye.
Bye.